it's the way it's been arranged.
Yeah.
But
Well, and
suddenly,
so you just finished the European tour. When did you start the U.S. leg?
about 2 weeks ago. So we're about two weeks in, and we're out for something like a couple of months. I'm not being very specific there, but that's the situation
You know,
at the
you
moment.
you talk about the pace,
Yeah,
keeping the band. How do you keep it up? I don't know where you find this energy. I mean, you are just like
yeah,
nonstop.
yeah. It's crazy, really, isn't it? It's just the way it is. But something happens when you get on stage, and I don't know. It just seems to transform everybody and everything. I think you become someone else. Suddenly the Superman suit goes on, and the fingers fly, if not the rest of me, and and
And there you are.
that's
Yeah.
how it works.
Well, the show
That's
will
it.
be here in
Yeah,
Phoenix on May 12th,
yeah,
Celebrity
yeah,
Theater. They're calling it, well, it's the Genesis Revisited Seconds Out and More tour, but it's also an evening with
yeah,
Steve Hackett. So
yeah.
describe this evening because it comes with an intermission, right?
That's right. Yes, yes. Now, as far as I'm aware, we're doing seconds out and more for that, as if it's not a rescheduled show, because some of them we're doing both albums back to back, both seconds out and selling England. But
Hmm.
you get about a half an hour's worth of solo stuff, a very short set, and then we take a short break. Then we do the whole of um, Seconds Out, which is a double album from 1977. It's classic Genesis 70s stuff, and the band I've got, I have to say, I don't think this material has ever been played better than what these guys do. They are explosive, and they are fantastic. A bunch of virtuosos. All my girls are virtuosos, as it said in some like it are, and they are too. So boys in this case, yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's
yeah,
because for you to say that is really something considering all the
yeah.
musicians you've played with. But the original album was recorded mostly in Paris. Is that right?
And that's right. Yeah, yeah. All those years ago, we were recording at that time when I was with Genesis.
Yeah.
We were recording shows for about 2 years, and we thought that was about the best one. That was it. We went for that one, and it became a standard by which a lot of other live things were judged. Of course, when I look back on it, I think that was good for them, but I think we've filmed another show from Manchester from the fall last year, and that's mixed, and I think that sounds fantastic and does a lot of things that I was hoping the original would do. I realize this may be sacrilege for some people, but for me, I prefer this version.
Well, that and that original live album was you were just leaving. That was about the
Yes,
point where you were saying goodbye. Was that
yeah.
scary, or was that a moment of I need to do this, and this is the right thing I must do?
Well, I think yes, it was scary, and for 2 years I toyed with the decision because I was being forbidden from doing solo stuff outside the band, and I found that too restrictive.
Mm,
So even though I think that at that time Genesis was possibly, the band's, or rather the world's best band, I thought my allegiance has to be to music and further musical adventures, and the chance to work with a lot of a lot of people who were just as wonderful, if not more so, than Genesis. So it was great to work with people such as the late great Richie Havens, Randy Crawford, Steve Walsh. Straight away, I was working with those people
yeah.
and heading towards world music with quite a number of things. So it wasn't just progressive; it was that and beyond that. So uh, my I often think my real work started then.
Yeah.
Well, that's how I see it.
Sure.
So you have a lot of very different albums. Most of them are rock, but some of them were with orchestras, and they were acoustic albums, and others orientated more towards world music. And so I've I've changed it around. So every 2 or 3 albums or so, there'll be something which does not fall straight into a progressive landscape. It's beyond that, and it's working with people all around the world, which I love. I love doing.
And you've been all around the world. Let's talk about traveling,
Yes.
because it's one of my
Yes.
favorite things to do as well. You and your wife, Joe, go to some
Yes.
pretty remote places.
That's right.
Give me a
We do.
highlight. Tell me if you had to pick one or two highlights of places you could share.
Oh my God. Well, okay, not too far away in distant Peru. Visiting Peru was extraordinary, and not just Machu Picchu, but other places which were wonderful. That was very, very lovely.
Did you get to the Galapagos Islands
good.
while you were there?
No, not this time. But
Okay.
it was that was wonderful. We've been to China. That was extraordinary. Been to India, seen extraordinary things, and Ethiopia. So all of them have been, and not just visits, not just as tourists, but using that to feed both the things that we write together, and so holidays become songs, become albums, become many other things. Sometimes they become films. It's so easy these days with an iPhone. If you're there with in various places in Ethiopia, and you're with a tribe that are going through some sort of initiation ceremony, we filmed it. Bull leaping and all sorts of stuff. It was extraordinary.
Yeah, I sense that, especially off the last album. I was thinking he's inspired by this travel, and having traveled a lot too, I can see where that creative comes from when you're in places like that. Yeah,
I'm glad you like travel. That's
I
great.
love travel. We've been blessed also to go to some really unique places, my husband and I. Let me ask you about your instrument collection, because we all know, you're the guitar master, and people like Brian May and Eddie Van Halen have admired you, but you collect some wild instruments, right?
Well, that started fairly early on. I was working with a Vietnamese instrument called a Dine Shine, related to the Koto family. And so I was working with that. And then over time, many things are gifted to me. A Peruvian instrument called the charango
the cigar box.
Very,
what was that? That guitar cigar box I saw you playing on the website
was
that. So cool.
There's that as well. I know. Yeah. There's all sorts of things, and the collection goes on. I worked with Brian May some years ago, and recently somebody lent me a guitar that was designed by him, and I ended up doing a swap for a Les Paul that I had, having worked with Brian. It happens to have a great sound. It's got a great out of phase facility, which makes the sound all go. It's very honky kind of sound, very upper harmonics, very much Brian, but it's a very, very exciting rock sound, and it fronts orchestral things very well as well. So it mixes with other instruments. My stalwart Les Paul, an ancient one, the Fernandez I had, where the sustain goes on forever. Without any tyranny of volume. You don't have to kill your neighbors to get sustain, and that's they're wonderful, these things. But I grew up playing harmonica 10 years before guitar, so I was a huge harmonica fan of people like Larry Adler, who I got to meet and spend some time with, and I loved the genius of Paul Butterfield, working with Michael Bloomfield. They were working with Dylan, all sorts of stuff. Was going on at that very exciting time, which was the mid-1960s, when music was truly becoming exciting, breaking all sorts of boundaries and preconceptions.
I just recently moved to Phoenix. I've only been here a year, but I came from Milwaukee, quite a long radio stint there.
Right.
Have you been to the Les Paul Museum in Milwaukee?
No, I haven't, but I did meet Les Paul, and I got a little bit of time to spend with him, which was wonderful, because he was a complete genius, of course.
Yeah. Well, that's
I'm so looking forward to playing in Phoenix.
Well, we look forward to having you. The show again is May 12th, Celebrity Theater. Its tickets are on sale now. What a great night with Steve Hackett, and I appreciate you taking the time. I hope you get to do something fun when you're here in town.
Oh, well, I hope so. Yeah, we have pals, and I think Phoenix is truly wonderful. You're in the midst of the best of nature, so it really is a fun place. Absolutely love it. I love being out in the wild with all of that. I just adore it. You know, we're starved of that kind of thing. Us
Yeah.
Brits,
I just
we're
hiked a
concreted
mountain
in.
for the first time today. I just hiked a mountain and it was the most amazing
Oh,
goosebumps. You know, it was an amazing experience. I don't
oh,
know that you'll have
wonderful.
time for that when you come, but we definitely want to see you in concert again, May 12th. Thanks for taking the time, Steve.
Thank you so much, Karen, and lovely talking to you.
Yes,
Thank you
take
so
care.
much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.